Hello, 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 everyone, and happy Saturday. I am sports mental health empowerment coach, Dr. Lauren Pitts. My amazing co-host extraordinaire today, Ronnie Ransome Jr., could not be with us today, but I've already wished him ill will. I'm joking, folks. I'm totally joking because he was being slick to me. So he knows what I'm talking about. The baby is going to act up and cut a fool. I'm putting that out in the atmosphere. That's what I'm saying Eli is going to do. But Ronnie couldn't be with us today. I have an amazing show lined up for you today. Folks, this is House Talk Pregame with me, Dr. Lauren Pitts. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad that you could be here. Look, folks, here's the deal. There are many student and professional athletes who struggled with mental illness or who are currently struggling with mental illness. Mental illness is a complex problem, and physical, spiritual, environmental, and relational health are equally important in having good mental health. So here's what we want you to know. It is so incredibly important for parents, family members, coaches, and teammates to understand both the mental health risks and benefits to ensure athletes have the greatest opportunity for success and enjoy participating in sports. That's what it's all about here at Pregame. Week in and week out, we are all about educating, empowering, supporting, and positively influencing the holistic performance of today's student and professional athletes, their family members, and those invested in their athletic, professional, and personal journey. Here's what I need you to know, folks. If you struggle to understand mental illness, or if you have compassion for those affected by it, then you're in the right place, because each week here on Pregame, we share powerful, and I always put the disclaimer out there, albeit raw, life, sports, and mental health information needed to help you make well-informed athletic and, more importantly, life-transforming decisions. Also, don't forget, this is really important, don't forget that you can catch us on Heritage Sports Radio Network, call sign HSRN, every Saturday at this same time at 11 a.m. and tonight at 10 p.m. So every Saturday, 11 a.m. and 10 p.m. And then on Sundays at 6 p.m. HSRN is empowering the HBCU families, head, heart, and hands to deliver the impact that we all know it can. So don't forget to catch our lineup of great shows. Also, if you want to be a part of the virtual studio audience, or if there is a particular topic that you would like for us to discuss, or if you have any comments or questions or constructive feedback or anything like that about the show, please, 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 you can click on the Zoom link to register to participate in the virtual studio audience. You can reach us on all of our social media platforms, or you can email your comments or questions to htpregame@gmail.com, because we really do want to hear from you. We need to know that these conversations that we're having week in and week out are making sense to you, that they're empowering you, that they're providing insight for you. You know, we believe that learning is a lifelong process, and it is our hope that this information that we share week in and week out, that you're finding it a big, big help as it relates to your academic and athletic journey as a scholar athlete, for those that are professional athletes or competing on the collegiate level, and everybody who's in support. Like, this information is very, very relevant information, and we want to make sure that it is impacting you the way that we want. Look, folks, you know that every week Ronnie and I give a mental health tip of the week, and today is not going to be, any different. I know that some folks didn't play sports. You know, everybody knows I didn't have a lengthy sports career beyond cheerleading. I didn't play sports, but as I've shared time and time again on the show, I am from a family, goodness gracious, multi-generational presence of student athletes in our family. Was formerly married to a student athlete, have a child by a student athlete. My former husband was also a coach of high school football. And then the list just goes on and on and on and on and on. And my decision as it relates to creating this unique marriage between sports and mental health really stems all the way back to my youth when I realized the impact that athletic involvement was having on the mental health of those that I love and care about the most. You know, win, lose, or draw, the intensity of competitive sports, the impact of losing, the impact of winning, the pressure that comes with having to balance academics and athletics and life in the whole 9 yards. And what we've learned, you know, what research has shown us as it relates to sports and mental health is that we have seen at times reduced depression and anxiety. Have you heard of the snowball effect? Everybody's heard of the snowball effect. Roll snowball downhill and it gains speed and weight and all of that. Well, here's what it looks like when it comes to sports. When rolling down a mountain, a snowball will get bigger the more it rolls. Sports causes a similar effect. It adds up the advantages on reduction of bad feelings like pain, stress, aggressivity, anxiety, and depression. And it has the ability to increase good feelings like better mood, improved memory and attention, happiness, and relaxation. And I'm actually going to talk more later on in the show about the impact that sports play can have on the brain in a very positive and productive, healthy way. So here's what I want you to think about. A good feeling can be extremely addictive in a positive and productive way. There is a degree of euphoria that is associated with winning. And it is something that we can completely benefit from. The sensation of energy charge, good mood, progress, and wellness are perceived by your body as reward. And therefore, your body will be looking to get some more rewards in the future. So sport is one of the best addictions you can have. It makes you happier, perform better, and healthier. So my tip is let's get happier with our involvement in sports. That is my sports mental health tip of the week. Then I just want to take a quick minute to announce that we do have one classic today. It is the Bayou Classic that's being televised on NBC Sports Network at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. That is between Grambling State University versus Southern University. It's being played at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. So you want to go ahead and check that out. Actually, that's going to be a good game. That's going to be a really, really good game. So look, what's today's show all about? It is about the pursuit of happiness, the athletic route. The most important part to note is that playing sports is a keynote habit. This means that daily sports can pave the way not only for happiness, but also growth in all other areas of your life. One way to achieve this is to create a so-called reward that will remind you of the good feelings you get from playing sports. And speaking of getting a reward, we want to give a very, very special shout out to Virginia State University's own Will Adams, who plays safety for VSU. He has officially accepted the invitation to play in the Black Football Hall of Fame's HBCU Legacy Bowl on February 19th at Yulman Stadium in New Orleans. So shout out and much congratulations to Will Adams and to Ronnie and who else? Ronnie and Dr. Maiden for their Virginia State team going to be well represented in that Black Football Hall of Fame game. So super excited about that. Well, look, folks, guess what? It's time to introduce these three amazing guests that we have on HT Pregame today. And yes, one of them actually looks just like me. I take full credit for her. These are three amazing sisters, Nia, Janiyah, and Jordan. They are here to talk with us today. And I already told them I'm gonna throw a little bit of shade, gotta throw some hate out there because they are from Pennsville Memorial High School, those Fighting Eagles in Pennsville, New Jersey. But look, I love these girls. I do. However, let me just go ahead and put it out there. Pennsville is one of my Salem High School Rams rivals. So I can't give too much love. They know I love them. I have serious love for them. I do, but everybody knows I bleed blue. So that being said, welcome, ladies. I'm so glad to have you. Thank you. And look, folks, for those of you who don't know, to the world, I'm Dr. Lauren D. Pitts. To them, I'm Cousin Noni. Just plain old Cousin Noni. That's Cousin Noni. Cousin Noni. And I love my babies. These are Noni's angels. But look, I told y'all, I'm from a family, like multiple generations of student athletes. And here you have it. We have Jordan. And oh, by the way, Jordy Cakes. That's my Jordy Cakes, y'all. Jordy's birthday is Monday. Yay, Jordy. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. So shouting out Jordy for her 15th birthday on Monday. So look, folks, Jordan plays soccer. You should see the legs on this child. I don't know why she doesn't play basketball too. I'm just saying. And Jordy, you don't run track anymore? She's like, negative, Noni. I will not. Ever again?
Ever again.
Never, ever again will Jordy run track. We have Naya, who is field hockey, track, and basketball. She's all legs too. And then we have Miss Senior here. Yeah, she is our reigning senior at Pennsville Memorial High School. Nia is tennis and track. And oh my goodness, welcome y'all. You decided to spend the day and hang out with Cousin Noni for these here good 90 minutes. Usually we're hanging out in your living room and we're cutting the fool and acting crazy. But today we're gonna chop it up like semi-grown folk. And hopefully mommy and daddy are listening. They said they were. You can't always believe everything they say. I'm talking about y'all, so that I want them to hear me. But welcome to HD Pregame. I'm so happy. I really do count it an honor. Y'all know I cut a fool. This is no different. It's my show. I can cut a fool if I want to. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So let's have some serious conversation. You know, the majority of the guests that I have on the show have been guys, and Ronnie and I said we really wanted to do a better job of striking a balance this season and making sure we have some female athletes on here as well, because the reality of it is that your voice matters, your athletic ability matters, it creates balance in sports and what have you. So my first question for each of you is, when did you start playing sports? Like, how old were you when you each started playing sports? And was it pressure from parents, or did you just decide you wanted to play sports? And Jordy, we'll start with you because you're the baby. Oh, nope, Nia, go ahead.
When did Salem Strider start? Like 10, maybe? But Mom and Granddad had the track team, so we just went with it and did that. And that was probably around 10 for me. I'm not sure what time for doing
Naya and Jordan, do you remember? Y'all were little.
Like, I was right at the age limit or right above it. So I was like maybe 7, 8, I want to say. Yeah.
Naya, how come we can't hear you? Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay. I think I was around like 9, maybe.
Okay. So it was, so for those of you who don't know, Salem Striders is a community track league that was started by the girl's grandfather, the late George A. Pace, AKA my Uncle Dad, Uncle Gio, who was a track star back in the day when he was in DC. And He has just always been passionate about sports. The girl's mother and their Aunt Kelly, who has previously been on the show, both went to college. Their mom went to Morgan State University. That's Dr. Brian Maiden's alma mater. So he would be happy to hear that. Their mom ran track for Morgan State. Their Aunt Kelly ran track for UMES, University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. So again, generations, right? Just following in the footsteps of family and that air of competition. Has it been fun for you all? Like, in what ways, if any, have you found happiness in sports?
Well, I didn't ever want to do any sports again after track ended. And then Nia was obviously doing sports, and I was doing sports every season.
You went out, Jordy.
They didn't want me just sitting around doing nothing. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
So I didn't want to do track. I didn't want to do any sports that Nia and I were doing because I didn't want to do the same sport as them.
That is some sibling foolishness right there, Jordan. What, you're playing basketball? Yeah, I'm gonna play. Yeah, no, I don't.
Well, I didn't want to do the same sport as them. I knew a lot of my friends were talking about soccer, and it was the last like couple weeks of school in the middle school in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about soccer, and it was like the last chance to sign up for it. So I was like, okay, why not? And I just soccer.
So, Jordan, I have a question for you. What was it about track that, and because I think that it's important for our viewing and listening audience to hear this, because trust and believe, you're not the only student athlete who's like, oh, no, everyone play that sport again. Hate it, whatever. Why? What was it about track that made you never want to participate in sports again? That's extreme. What happened?
I don't know. I just didn't like, I didn't like practicing. I didn't like hurting. I didn't like, my legs were always hurting a lot. And that was because I was going through like a lot of growth spurts then. But also I had shin splints and something like my ankle or my knee back then. And I just hated hurting.
That's powerful because, you know, there have been a number of shows where, you know, Ronnie talks about, and you're going to go like this when I say, so my co-host that's, you know, normally here, Ronnie has had over 30 concussions, and he's had knee surgery 2-3 times, just endless injuries, because he started playing sports at like 6-7 years old, and it literally has torn his body to shreds. So thank you for saying that, Jordan, because I think that it's so important for student athletes to understand that even though there are a lot of athletes that are encouraged to do like Ronnie did and just push through the pain and keep going, everybody's not built that way. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It doesn't mean that you don't necessarily, you know, love the sport or you don't have a competitive edge, but pain is real. Pain is real. And when you experience intense pain, you know, when I look at, again, everybody knows, like, I have a lot of athletes that I work with. And when I'm working with clients who are suffering from chronic pain, the impact that that can have on your mental health is really, really, really intense. It has been connected to depression. It has been connected to substance use and abuse. It has been connected to high anxiety. You know, I think about it within the context of a quarterback and sustained injury. I don't want to be hit. I do not want to be hit. It makes you a little edgy and nervous. So hats off to you, Jordan, for your willingness to have the courage to say, yeah, y'all hurting me. I'm gonna pass. I'm good. Thank you for sharing that. It took a lot of courage to share that. What about you, Nye?
Hear me?
Can Can't hear you, baby. Your sound is out. We'll come back to you, Nia.
I would say, like with Jordan, with track, I don't know. Like, it's not like tennis. I really enjoy tennis. I think I enjoy like, the team aspect and just everything. Like, you meet new people. Like, it's nice. And even though it's like a team, it's still kind of individual. I like the middle ground because with track, it's kind of completely individual in a way. Even though like, at the end, your points, I like more of the team aspect. And also, like Jordan, I was always hurting no matter what I did. Not really the biggest fan of doing track, but I really enjoy tennis.
Okay. Now you get your sound fixed?
Here, hear me?
There you go. We got you, baby.
Like them, yeah, I didn't really like actually working out and doing the stuff to get better at the sport, doing track with our parents. Now that I'm doing like field hockey, it's kind of like completely different. Something completely new. No one really knows how this sport works, and I'm just learning it on my own.
Janai, I'm not sure what is going on. Your sound keeps going in and out. So folks, we do apologize for the technical difficulties we're having. Not sure what's going on with that sound, but we'll get that taken care of. I think it's really interesting because for those of you, let me clarify. When I introduced the girls, one of the things that I said is that their Aunt Kelly, who ran the 400 meter in the state of Maryland and who is a track star by every account, a true track extraordinaire. And I wonder if when you all were sustaining these injuries and the pain that you felt, like, did you ever think, dang, is this what Aunt Kelly went through? Did you all ever love on Aunt Kelly? But Aunt Kelly, you know what? All hail Aunt Kelly, because if this is what she had to go through, if this is what mommy had to go through, running track all these years in high school, because they both ran track in high school and in college, it's like, how did you all do it? Did you show some empathy to your mom and Aunt Kelly with the pain that they endured running track for as many years as they did?
Can definitely see it now.
Yeah. Now, back then, not so much. It's I'm in so much pain and kind of blamed it on them. You're making me. You weren't, kind of.
I was like, it was y'all's fault. Y'all made me run this dumb sport. Y'all let me. Parents who let their kids will not make you run track. I'm negative. I get it. Okay.
I also think, like Naya said, it being completely new, like it was just nice to like try something new. Okay. And like the motive is different. Like in track, it's get a faster time. In tennis, it's like a completely different like kind of thing. So it was just nice to try out and fun.
Physical challenges that she has now. Aunt Tasha was a beast in tennis. You didn't know that?
I knew.
Okay, I was about to say. Aunt Tasha was putting it down.
Frozen for a minute, so I probably missed you saying it.
No, I was saying that back in the day when we were growing up, Aunt Tasha was a beast in tennis. Couldn't nobody hold a torch to her. She was wearing them out. She was wearing them out. She loves tennis. She absolutely loves tennis. And back in the day, she was really, 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 really good. She was an extraordinary tennis player. So, you're getting it. And then Annette was our hoop star. Annette played basketball back in the day. Let me see. No, we didn't have the Salem County area back when we were all kids coming up, to my knowledge, didn't have a soccer league or team or anything like that. Matter of fact, when we were you guys' age, track and field was boys only. People used to ask me, I'm like, oh, you're not running track. We didn't have a girls' track and field team that I'm aware of. I don't ever recall seeing girls in track and field at Salem High School. If they did, it slipped by me because I was busy getting straight A's. So I wasn't playing sports. So do you ever think about, I mean, since you all started playing sports at such a young age, do you ever think about how you'll experience happiness when you finish playing? Like what will you do? What will you fill that space with that will take the place of the joy and the fulfillment that you have from playing sports? Have you thought about it?
I personally,
Okay, you can go, Nia.
okay. I was saying like in college, like playing, even if it's not like a big, like that's what I do for college, like finding little teams like in between and just recreational games or working out with someone, like things like that, to still stay active and like be social, even
So
though it's
intramural.
not.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so what you're describing, Nia, is intramural play where you just have, you're not competing on a national level, but within the university itself, it has, the pockets of teams that play against other students within the same school. And it is a great way to stay in shape. It is a great way to be socially engaged and to really make the most, if you will, of your collegiate experience. So I'm glad to hear that. Yay. Yay, yay, yay. Jordan, what were you going to say, dear?
I feel like without like when I was in the middle school, obviously there wasn't like sports as there is in the high school or as there was when I was doing the track team. And I feel without sports, I'm kind of more focused on school, like art. Like I'm not as much as like a sports person as I am like I was doing like art clubs, book clubs, stuff like that. Sports always kind of just like stressed me out. Like I didn't like being bad at them. I didn't like doing them because they just stressed me out. But so I just didn't do them. And I feel like if I stopped with sports, I wouldn't.
You sound went out.
I was
Jordan,
saying,
go ahead.
I was saying that like if I stopped doing sports, I would be okay without them. Like I wouldn't like go out and find sports clubs to join or like stuff like that because I have other things that I like doing.
That's that balance. Ronnie and I talk about that all the time. And we did a previous show on, sports as it relates to one's identity and how so oftentimes student athletes or even professional athletes, like the sport validates them. The sport, they become one with their sport. And then when it comes time for them to no longer participate in athletic play, they find themselves sort of wandering around aimlessly, like, oh my gosh, who am I without football, basketball, baseball, soccer, whatever the case may be. And what you demonstrated, Jordan, is how important it is to have that balance, which is what we say on the show all the time. Have that balance. What are other things that you're interested in that can be helpful in your development, not just athletically, but personally, because there is life beyond sports. So you demonstrated that beautifully. Thank you. Janaya, what about you, dear?
Just like Jordan, finding clubs and just doing things. Like, sports isn't really my entire life, even though doing clubs that a little bit more happier than doing sports.
Okay. What type of grades are we talking about here, ladies?
I am straight A's right now. I've been holding on to straight A's for like forever. I feel like when I finally, if I ever don't get straight A's, I might cry. Straight A's are, that is what I pride myself on. I can't. Like, B's make me nervous. They scare me. I don't like them.
What is it about B's that make you nervous?
Like my entire thing is like I'm smart, I get straight A's. That's like I get straight A's. I'm a straight A student. If I get a B, like it scares me so much. I was hanging on to an A last marking period, and I was like right on the verge of a B before he put the points in, and it was just stressing me out. I think I'm harder on myself with my grades than my parents are, and it just
So
scare me.
Jordan, here's a mental health tip for you, baby girl. As someone who suffered from that same straight A disorder, and as you know, you all know how your Aunt Paul is. So I wasn't allowed to get B's, but the rare occasion that I did, it was torture. But here's something that I will tell you that is very, very important. I'm not saying don't set the standard high. However, it's really important for each of you to understand that that stress that comes from gotta get the A, gotta get the A, gotta get the A, gotta get the A is not a healthy place and space to be in. And here's why. Total transparency. Just like you, straight A's, straight A's, straight A's, straight A's, straight A's. When my GPA dropped when I was in my master's program, because as you all may recall, I was having a major health crisis and had to go in the hospital and all of that. My GPA dropped and I was having a whole cow. And my academic advisor said, "Are you serious? You just had a lumpectomy for a tumor in your breast. You had major surgery. You come right back to class and you're tripping because you have a 3.85 GPA. Why?" I still wasn't hearing it. Going into my doctoral program, got my GPA back up. Going into my doctoral program, took a hit again. Had a professor that just like kicked my behind all through my doctoral program. And my dissertation chair said this. She said, "Lauren, you're going to be Dr. Pitts. Nobody cares that you have a 4.0. You're Dr. Pitts. Your grades don't validate you. You are no less smart because you get a B. Now, if you had a C, I would have to come home and choke you out. But if what I'm saying to you ladies is your absolute best effort is what's important. And I will tell you, one of my biggest wake-up calls came at Howard University, my freshman year in undergrad, in my English composition class. I had never, ever at any time in school gotten anything less than an A on a writing assignment. I got a C. I almost had a nervous breakdown. I was like, "What? Wait a minute, this is somebody else's paper. What you saying? This is a mistake." She forgot the other swoop. She forgot to put the humps on the C and drop a little line through the middle. But my professor at the time had a developmental conversation with me. And basically what she was saying is, we all have room for improvement. Don't strive for perfection, strive for excellence. And even though I was accustomed to always getting A's, my professor stretched me out of my comfort zone to come higher. And coming higher is part of the reason why I'm the only doctor in our family. Until one of y'all makes the decision. Let me just go ahead and put that. Let me go ahead and prophesy that. Okay? Dr. Jordan, Dr. Nye, Dr. P. Hey. Okay? Let me ask you a female question. Do you feel that women can find true happiness in sports when financial security isn't guaranteed at the professional level like it is for men's sports? How you feel about that? I know all three of you are fireballs. when it comes to the causes that you feel real strong about. So let's have it that. What do you think about that? Nia, I'm gonna let you go first on this.
Okay.
I know you got some cause passion.
I think like it makes it really hard because like if you're doing the same exact thing, like you're working your butt off, you enjoy this, like it's really hard when you're not like getting the appreciation, in this case it would be pay, that like you really should. Like if you can't really live off doing like what you love when someone else is doing the exact same thing and living a lavish life off of it, it makes it really hard to like you can be content with what you do, but it makes it a lot harder too.
Okay. Jordan,
I feel the same way as Nia. Like you can love what you're doing, but if someone else is doing the exact same thing and they're making more money, they're doing better, they're getting all the praise for it, they're all over posters and all over social media, like it's kind of frustrating. It's really hard to find like true happiness, to be fully content in what you're doing. Exact same thing.
Naya, what you think?
Basically the same thing as the other Nia and Jordan have said. It's probably very, very struggling, like mentally too. To be like, oh, I doing that, I could be them kind of to get all the praise as they are kind of. Love it so much. It's like, oh, I might need.
How is it that you two are sitting right next to each other and Shania's sound keeps going out? What is that?
Maybe I'm not talking loud enough. If I speak louder, does this work?
I can hear you. It's blowing my mind because I'm like, I'm not crazy. I know they're sitting right next to each other and Shania's sound keeps going. It's confusing me. What is going on right now?
They're very disrespectful from my computer.
Yeah, we're going to have it. You know, I think y'all should get a new computer for Christmas. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We can put that out there. So talk to us about what that's like at the high school level though. Like, do you find at your school that the male student athletes get more hype and praise and press time than female athletes that are excelling at their respective sports?
100%.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Like football's up here. Everything else is down here.
And the record.
The football team at Pennsville absolutely sucks, and they still get the most hype over everything. They get all the people coming to their games. They get the most money for new outfits. They get the most new students. Or
everything.
I think they might have won one game, and they got uniforms to wear for one day, while our field hockey team, we were struggling because our goalie needed a new helmet. And instead of getting her the helmet, which they did eventually, like later, they got the football game, or the football people, a new uniform for one day.
So next season, Pennsville will have new football uniforms. Is that what you're telling me? So Pennsville plays Pennsgrove for the Thanksgiving game. Salem played Woodstown for the Thanksgiving game. Pennsville and Pennsgrove play each other for Thanksgiving. And Pennsgrove, I'm sure, walked the dog on y'all. Beat the brakes.
Like our tennis uniforms, we finally got new tennis uniforms after years. We're like, oh my gosh, like I need tennis uniforms. Our skirts were lacrosse skirts. We don't even have lacrosse at our school.
What?
They didn't fit anyone. They didn't have shorts under them that we need to like tuck the balls in. Nothing. So we all went and bought our own skirts. But yeah, our football team is building their new scoreboard.
Wow.
The whole stadium to themselves for every single game, every practice. They're allowed to practice over there. The soccer team, they have a soccer field in the middle of it. but the girls soccer team isn't allowed to play games on it. We had the playoffs. We made it to the playoffs all the way to the finals. We weren't allowed to play any of our games there. We weren't allowed to play in the official stadium. We had to play it behind the middle school in these fields, like just empty fields.
Oh my gosh.
The only game that the
Wow.
girls soccer team ever played on the official soccer like field was their breast cancer awareness game, and that was because they allowed the boys to play before us on the field, so then they allowed the girls to play.
I'm not gonna throw them under the bus. I'm not, but there's room for some improvement. Clearly, there's definitely room for some improvement. I don't know comparatively in Salem County who the two highest grossing school districts are as far as overall funding. If I had to guess, I would say that it's Shalleck, Woodstown, and Pennsville, just because those three school districts are the predominantly Caucasian school districts. And everybody knows that in this, and I don't know if it's everywhere in the United States, but in the state of New Jersey, the school districts get funding by the property taxes. And it is more, the property taxes are higher in Pennsville Township and what Woodstown, Pilesgrove, and Pittsgrove Township. Those property taxes are higher, which in essence means that the districts are receiving more funding than, say, Salem or Pennsgrove. So not really understanding why you all are having to go out and buy your own skirts, but that's a completely different show. So let me ask you this. Let's talk about your goals. What are some goals? What would you say are the top 3 goals that you each have created to keep you focused on enjoying your sports involvement? And I'm sure winning helps. Winning's a big one, right? Well, Dr. Benson, I win. Keeps me happy. That's all I need. Just win.
I would say my 3 biggest goals right now, since I only started doing soccer, I only learned about soccer this year and I'm a freshman. Mm-hmm. But the girls soccer team at Pennsville is really good, and most of their players, they go from JV to varsity their sophomore year. Most of them are really good. Yeah. So one of my biggest goals is to like get better over the summer so that I can be like eligible for varsity.
Okay.
Just to like know what I'm doing to look good next to the other girls and to stay out of drama, because there's a lot of drama in my team, especially on the girls team. They're known for like having drama, even though the boys have just as much. They just about the girls team's dramas.
Girls tend to have drama. Teenage girls especially.
We're always talking about how if they find out about drama, they're going to like do something about it. So I just want to stay out of that.
Good for you. We do try to pride ourselves on staying drama free, don't we? No time for that. Okay. Naya, your computer's trash. I think I might have to get you.
I know. So sorry. But kind of like Jordan, gonna yell now, but kind of like Jordan, to get better at my sport so that our team can flow and we'll all be at the same level. Mm-hmm. And also keeping like the team spirit up. That is definitely one of my goals, because especially like during this year, kind of our team was up and down, like kind of like a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. So keeping the level up high enough to make sure that we want to win the games and we all want to be there and we all get along with each other. That's that's my goal. Okay. Team.
Nia?
I'm basically done now, but it basically, since I started tennis like sophomore year instead of freshman, and I went in not knowing anything. Mainly my goal was just to like get better, because I knew I enjoyed it. So it just was like work hard, like do what I could, and it paid off. We were 15-1 this year with my team.
Wow.
It was really nice. So that was like a good accomplishment of my goal of like trying to get better, because before it was rough. When I first started, it was so bad, but it was like a good year this year. And also like just team energy, like keeping everyone together, like because we had a lot of different people, especially this year, like a lot of new people came out from all different groups, like everything, just keeping everyone together, and it was really nice and made like a lot of friendships and stuff.
So I think that it's really important. I was hoping that we had a guest on a couple of weeks ago who was talking about race within the context of sports and what that looks like. And I think that it's important, you know, as we think about the different levels of happiness or not that a student athlete experiences in their athletic involvement. I think that it's noteworthy to point out for our viewing and listening audience, these young ladies attend a school, a high school, as I said, in Southern New Jersey, that is 99.9% Caucasian. There are very, 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 very low numbers of ethnic minorities enrolled at their school. And I think it's important to shine the spotlight on that for our viewing and listening audience, because I'm curious to know if being a true minority in your school, and as it relates, you know, I didn't post any of the athletic pictures that you all shared with me for promos because they had all of your teammates in them. But what was evident was, with the exception of Jordan's team, Janiyah and Nia, you were the only people of color on your respective teams. Jordan, I believe there were two other young ladies of color that were on the soccer team. But what has that been like? Does it impact your happiness? Do you find that it's a challenge in any way being in the minority in school and in sports play? And if so, how does it make you feel?
Definitely stand out. My coaches, like, you definitely stand out a lot more, even in like group photos and things like that. Personally, me, I don't like, I like to stand out, but like not that much, you know what I mean? That's hard. And also kind of having your coaches, like, you're on the field, people are going to see you because stick out kind of like a sore thumb. I don't think it really impacts my happiness, but it definitely gives me a little bit of anxiety knowing that people are.
Jordan, what
Yeah,
about you?
I was like, when I went to the interest meeting for soccer, there was 2 Black girls there, and that was like the huge thing. I was like, oh my gosh, there's Black people on the team. And when I like finally started, when I was going to like the captain's practices and everything, like before the official practices, one of like they were possibly like the best people on the team. Like one of the Black girls is our main forward. She's always scoring the goals. She's like one of our best players, and the other is like our main mid, and she's like really good. And that was like, oh my gosh, there's Black people on the team. And I came home and I was like, Mom, and she was like, I was like, you don't understand, like that's like a huge thing, because and especially if they're not like, they don't act white or they're not like actually racist, because most of the people at our school, if they are Black, they're probably mixed. Like my friend, of maybe about 30 girls on my soccer team, there's 3 upperclassmen that are Black. One of the girls was she was like on and off there, and one of my freshman friends is Black, but she's mixed. So I think there's only like one fully Black girl on our team, but she was kind of
And
like,
that's you?
oh yeah, other than me. But it made a huge difference to me. I was like, oh my gosh, there's a black girl on my team. So obviously I was like, I just stood by her and I tried to be her friend because she was the only other black girl.
Okay. So I want to expand on that a little bit before we jump to Nia, because clinically, when I hear you say that, Jordan, my clinical interpretation of what you said is that it was important for you to experience a sense of belonging. And when we look at the impact that a sense of belonging has on one's mental health, there is something significant there. That it's almost as if having a sense of belonging bridges the gap, right? It's like, to your point, Nia, like, I don't want to be, the outlier. I don't want to be the sore thumb that's sticking out. I don't want the spotlight on me for that. And I think that it's really important for people to understand. I was I was watching 2020 last night, and they were talking about the verdict in the Ahmaud Arbery case and everything that transpired with that, and highlights from the trial and what have you. And I think that it's so incredibly important for people to understand. When they were talking about that, and then I was watching a documentary that Van Jones did called Reuniting the United States, and it talked about when you're in an environment that is predominantly Caucasian, and you have individuals who say things that we as people of color consider microaggression. When I look at you, I don't see color. But what the hell do you see? I'm a black woman. All three of you are black women. If you don't see color, then basically you're saying that I'm invisible. And it's something that we need to raise awareness about. We need people to understand that having a sense of belonging is important. There's a reason why there's so much going on around diversity and inclusion, is that there is wellness that is associated with being a part of something and being around people that look like me and that can relate to me, that can understand that it's deeper than just soccer or hockey or basketball or track or tennis or whatever it is, that I'm a human being with a pulse and real life feelings, and there's things that need to be understood about my experience as a scholar athlete of color that perhaps your teammates can't relate to. Because total transparency, one of the first things that came to mind until you expanded, Jordan, is when you talked about the two black girls that are doing the darn thing. It's like, okay, are they good, or are they tokens? So thank you for clarifying that, because I wasn't thinking that, like, it wasn't an insensitive, it's just the world that we live in, right? People make those assumptions about us as people of color, that there are things that we can do better. We can jump higher, we can run faster, we're stronger, just by design of the color of our skin. So I'm glad that you clarified that, and it sounds as if they're getting a fair shot, but know that that's not the case in every district around the country. I'm just saying. Nia.
Like with the token thing, like you said, on our track team, it's like, if you're black, it's like, oh my gosh, you're gonna be our star, like, no matter what. Like, we have one boy, he's a freshman, he's tall, like, he's good, but they try and run him into the ground and everything just to do it. Yeah, and he's good, yes, but like, you can't do that.
Right.
So in track, that's a problem. But in tennis, not like, with my team, it's not as much. A lot of the girls, it's like ignorance, but they're not like necessarily like, whenever they ask questions or stuff, it's purely like, oh, curiosity, want to know.
Yeah.
But it's basically like, oh, you have the job of informing everyone about everything.
I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask if within that context, if you're like the spokesperson for all Black people.
Yeah, he's like my coach. Like he's like, I like him. He's a good coach. We have good conversations, but it's like we're the only person they know to get any information from. So it's like that's who he goes to ask questions about stuff and stuff. So
You know what's funny about that? Our viewing and listening audience don't know this, but you know, also in Salem County, we have the Salem County Vocational and Technical High School. It's its own school district. And all of the schools in Salem County bus their students for some of the special coursework that is offered only at the Vocational and Technical High School. So each of the districts send their students in. So the Vocational and Technical District is a melting pot. It's actually more diverse. At last I heard, I didn't check the stats before the show, but last I was aware, the Vocational and Technical High School was a melting pot that was much more diverse in the student body than, say, Penns Grove, that is predominantly African American. Salem is predominantly African American. Woodstown, Pennsville, and Shalleck, from what I understand, are predominantly Caucasian. And here's the thing, it's always been that way, right? It's always been that way. So the reason why I bring that up is like, you're surrounded. But everybody knows that every year at the daggone, what's the big event that they have at the water park in Pennsville every year in Penns Grove and Salem get to fighting and acting crazy. It's like, you've got Pennsville is sandwiched between two predominantly African-American communities. You can run into Black folks at the nail shop. You can run into Black folks at Walmart, at Walgreens, at McDonald's, at Super Wawa, at the Acme. What else? What else is up there? I mean, it's endless stuff, right? Why do you have to be the spokesperson for Black folks? Why? Why? It makes no sense. It makes no sense that in 2021, there's still this much division that exists right in our own communities. And we hear about it on the news, but what I want our viewing and listening audience to be aware of is it's small town America all day, every day. It's, thank goodness, we're not, well, Salem's on the map now because of Jonathan Taylor just wreaking havoc on the NFL, doing the darn thing. But it's happening all over the place. And it's not fair. And there's so much room for awareness to be raised. There's so much room for each of you to be instrumental in educating and empowering and liberating in your own unique way. I'm not telling you what to do, I wouldn't do that. But I know that these things are very important to each of you. And I am just a firm believer in what do we know to be true? In our family, we view it as if we're not a part of the solution, then we're a part of the problem. And we as a family pride ourselves on being solution focused. So there's this creative space for each of you, to have your voice heard in your own unique way. I remember, Nia, when everything hit the fan and there were all the protests and what have you, with the Floyd murder, and you wanted to march. I remember that. And I'm like, let her march. But I also understand that, it was a matter of safety first. But I say all that to say, ladies, that I am a firm believer that your athletic ability, your athletic presence, the athletic platforms that you each have creates this amazing space for you to be more than just student athletes. It creates this amazing opportunity for you to not be the token Negro who answers all of the Black questions, but to be the role model, to be the example, to be demonstrative of excellence and greatness as young women of color that other members of our family and our friends and our community can look up to and see. Because Lord knows, Lyric knows she love y'all. She love y'all to people. I get to go. Girl, you ain't going over there. Sit down. But I want to go. Nia, you mentioned that you really like, you've each had involvement in team and individual sports. Can you speak to that a little bit more? Like, which one do you each find them more fulfilling, and why?
Well, with individual, like for instance in track, how it's just you, like you run. If you mess up, like in that one run, that's what it is. But like with tennis, like and with a team sport, like it's kind of more. I mean, I guess you're both pretty anxious with both, but with team, like you can't really control everyone else. You can only control you, so you just have to do the best you can and like have faith that your team will like pull through. But I don't know, like just with tennis, like I'm in doubles, so I'm with one other person who in the beginning we didn't really get along the best, but we like got it together.
You got a teammate that you don't get along with? Ah.
Yeah, but we pulled it together, and it ended up pretty good. But I don't know, like just I like the team like spirit and being together, and not just all on you, all like you can be stressed out together.
Okay. So that's what I was going to ask you. So it sounds like for you, team play relieves some of the pressure that one might experience if it's just all about the individual competition.
And you can distract yourself a little more.
Okay. Naya?
Yeah, basically the same thing you said. Like doing a team sport, it's also like the team energy that definitely helps there, and also you guys coming together to do one thing, one goal. And even though you can't control everyone, kind of like, but doing something on your own, it's very like.
I'm getting y'all a computer for Christmas.
It's very scary in a way. Like it all rides on you in an individual sport.
Okay.
It's very nerve-wracking.
So if you're in a team sport and you mess up, you can sort of hide behind the team. Versus like, oh my gosh, did you see how bad she lost? It's different. Jordy, what about you, baby?
I kind of feel like the exact opposite way with.
Of course you do, Jordy. Of course you do.
But that's just because with a team sport, I feel like more anxious because like if I mess up, then I messed up for the whole team. Like I ruined everything for the whole team. If I'm doing an individual sport, all I'm bringing down is myself. Kind of like with track, if I did a bad run, like yeah, it negatively impacted the team, but it was more just on me. With a team sport, if I mess up, then like you can see that, and then that kind of messes up everybody else on the field, and like then the whole team's messed up. And if we lose, then you can obviously tell that it was me. I don't like bring the people down with me. That's why I was always stressed out over sports.
You got way too much stress going on, girly.
Like, I feel like because my team was also really good, when they were good and everyone was in a good mood, then they were like, oh yeah, it's okay, not gonna brush it off, you're okay. But also like I was new and I'm a freshman, so I don't really know what's going on. And if I messed up and they weren't in a good mood, then it ruined the bus ride home for us. It kind of everything, everyone was upset. Like it was just too stressful. That's why individual sports I feel like are easier to take than.
So there's for you, it's like, you know what, I would rather just carry the weight on my shoulders, and if I mess up, it's on me, but I don't want to have to deal with the blame and shame that could be associated if, something that I do somehow results in the team losing or having a substandard competition. Makes sense. Nah, what about you, babe?
I see both sides, both Nia and Jordan. Like, I like hiding behind the team if I mess up, but at the same time, I feel like if the team was to lose, then I'll go back in the game and I'll see like, oh, if I didn't make that mistake, then maybe we could have won. But also individual sports is also like a lot of pressure because I'm very hard on myself and top of my game. And let's say in track I have like a really bad run, then it's just like happen. Why wasn't I like what I was last week or something like that? What I find artists. So both are very.
You're in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, you are in the middle. You're the middle sister. So you get to have middle child syndrome, middle athlete syndrome, you just middle syndrome. Okay. So let me ask you this. So research shows that 16% of people 15 and older play sports or exercise on an average day, and that playing sports makes both women and men happier. The same is true for young people, kids and adolescents. We found that girls and boys who play team sports are more satisfied with their lives than kids who don't, according to a study of, interestingly enough, middle schoolers. So I want to get your input on, do you find that playing sports, that one of the benefits of playing sports is having higher self-esteem and being less depressed? Like, I don't know if you realize or not, but you all have talked a lot about the stress that's associated with athletic play, which for me clinically is like one of the major things that I address with the athletes that I work with. Like, it seems imbalanced to me, that the stress level seems to be through the roof. And yeah, you have the reward associated with winning, but the stress is through the roof. So how is sports play impacting your ability to strike emotional balance? Like, do you feel like your self-esteem is higher? Do you feel more or less depressed? Just talk to us about the emotional element that you experience with athletic involvement. And whoever wants to go first is fine. Denaya, can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I just started yelling more. But emotionally, I don't really know. I honestly feel like my self-esteem honestly goes down more when I'm playing sports because I see my teammates that are like better than me in my eyes. And then if I can't get to their level, or especially during that season, like my freshman year, my self-esteem was low because I was seeing all the seniors and people do things and I was like, I don't know how to do that. I can't do that. So it like really played with me mentally. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get there. And like this year, my self-esteem has raised a little higher because I'm like, okay, now I can do the stuff that I couldn't do last year. And I can see how I can kind of get there, but I'm still not there yet.
Carrie.
Yeah.
Okay. Jordy.
I feel like kind of the same way. I feel like I would have, like, I'm not at that point yet where I'm like happy where I am because I still don't know what I'm doing. So I feel like if I get better at the sport, then I'll be like happier doing it, happier at practices. But right now it's kind of just like stressful because I'm not as good as everyone else in the team and I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't really know the game. So I can't really like put my all out onto the game because I don't really know what I'm doing.
Okay. Nia.
So me not really knowing kind of brings everyone else down.
Okay.
I could see like how like playing sports like makes you happier like everything else. Because if I was just like like even when sports are over, it's like, ooh, like a break from go, go, go. But it's also like I like having something to do, like something to fill my time, not always like being in the same spot. So with sports, it allows that, and I enjoy like when I enjoy the sport, it's like, oh, like I enjoy doing it, so I enjoy like spending my time doing it and the time and everything commitment that comes with it. But like when I'm just like in between of not like doing it, it's kind of like, oh, like I like if I was never doing any sports and always just home, like never did any extracurriculars, anything, I feel like I would be a lot more depressed just because you're just surrounded by yourself all the time, like same spot, same area. When I like being out, like getting to see different things, meet different people, like things like that. So I see how like sports and like the levels affect each other.
Thank you. So I find it really interesting. I'm not surprised, but I find it really interesting the differing perspectives that you all have. And one of the things that I think it's really important to understand is that you have a choice as to whether or not you allow sports to define you in such a way that it compromises your self-esteem and your self-worth. And that's why when Ronnie and I have done past shows on the identity piece and sports identity, it is important for athletes to understand that for as much as you love athletic competition, if you allow yourself to be validated by your athletic performance, you really are setting yourself up for your sense of self to be compromised. So what I mean by that is this. Jordan and I want to direct my recommendations to you two first. Your athletic performance doesn't define you. You are a part of a very rich lineage, a very rich heritage that is all encompassing with a number of personality traits and characteristics and moral code and values that speak to depth of who you are evolving as young women, and to allow athletic ability or inability to compromise your self-esteem is something that makes me sad to hear. Because am I biased where my angels are concerned? I am, but I also have the ability to be objective. And I know that each of you are extraordinary young women in your own right. And if you never played another sport ever again in your life, you're still extraordinary young women. You are smart and beautiful and funny. Lord knows y'all are hilarious. You're funny and you're gifted and you're talented and you are creative and you have so many extraordinary things that create you, that your athletic ability doesn't have a right to rob you of your power to be your authentic selves. You get to choose how your thoughts and your feelings and your behaviors impact you evolving as who God purposed and predestined each of you to be, not your athletic ability. God has the final say. You know that. You're being raised in a Christian home. you know, as a family where our pillars lie, right? And are you gifted where your athletic abilities? Sure, absolutely. You all have been ripping and running and tearing, you know what I mean? Y'all ran around the house like I always have this vision of Aunt Kelly running and spinning and play. You know, that's the three of you running and spinning and playing and just bouncing off the walls literally every day of your lives. But each of you are also brilliant. You each have the ability to go to college on academic scholarship if that's what you chose to do. If you're like, you know what, I don't ever want to play sports ever again, not playing no sports, I'm just going to be smart. That brain is going to take you very, 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 very far. My encouragement to each of you today is choose to allow your behavior and your feelings to line up with your logical brain. And what I mean by that is, if there's ever a time that you don't perform as well as you think you should, and you're tempted to feel less than, I need you to challenge that cognitive distortion. And I need you each to commit to coming up with 3 or 4 positive alternative experiences that serve to remind you of how extraordinary you are, whether you performed well athletically or not. I'm not going to be, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that Nia lost that tennis match. You know what? I don't love her anymore. She doesn't look like me anymore because she lost. That darn Nia, that darn Jordy, you know what? I just can't love them anymore because your performance doesn't define you. What's in your heart does. You're decent, respectful, amazing human beings. You're my babies. You're my angels. I'm not gonna stand by and allow your self-esteem to be compromised because you didn't perform at your best in athletic competition. We're not doing that. We're not gonna do that. Nothing or nobody will ever have a right to rob you of your authentic self. And your authentic self is all that disordered rebate and a bag of chips. Athletic performance, A game or F game. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Okay. Make me have to have this conversation with y'all no more. Now, how do others' opinions of your athletic abilities and achievements impact you? Uh-oh, Jordy. Here we go. I'm gonna let you go first.
Well, I want people to see me and see that I'm doing a good job. I want people to like be like, oh, she's really good at soccer. Oh my gosh, she's so good. Like I obviously don't want people to see me like doing bad and think, oh wow, she sucks. But I feel like people's opinions on like how I'm doing really does affect what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Because most of the time, if I'm practicing and I see that other people are doing like a lot better than me, and then someone points it out, and one of the upperclassmen, they were always really nice to me. They were like, oh, it's okay, you're doing okay. You don't know the sport, it's okay. You're doing good. It really would help me. Like their words, their opinion of how I'm doing really does help. Especially like the coaches, especially my parents. Like if they saw me and they're like, oh, you're doing so good, blah, 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 blah. It really does help. Like I think people's opinions It's like they have more hold on me than they should, but
So here's something that I want you to consider. Part of how you each, as you continue to grow and mature, part of how you increase your sense of self, part of how you build a stronger, authentic self is by not allowing other people's opinions and criticism and those types of things to impact you so deeply that it gets in your head. Again, nobody has a right to rob you of your sense of self. You have to know what your values are, what your beliefs are, what your moral code is, what matters to you the most. And at the end of the day, none of those people have a heaven or hell to put you in. None of this is what I say, and y'all already know. I know they'll throw it off. Look, it's real cool for folk to judge and criticize in the whole 9 yards. But what's their athletic record? What are they living vicariously through you while they're busy judging and criticizing your performance? Where are their trophies? Where's their write-up in the newspaper? Where's their banners hanging in the gym or on the soccer field? Because what I'm saying is that you cannot give your power away. You can't. You can't. Is it okay for people to offer constructive criticism? Sure. But constructive criticism shouldn't debilitate. Constructive criticism shouldn't leave you feeling less than because somebody doesn't give you your props. You have to, and this might sound a little arrogant, but if you don't believe in yourself, why should anybody else? I don't, it's fine, well and good when people say, you know what, Dr. Pitts, you helped me. I'm so thankful for the clinical work that you did. But at the end of the day, because my value system is one of excellence, if nobody ever complimented me on my ability, I would still have a level of comfort because I know that I wake up every day with it purpose in my heart, mind, spirit, and soul to be a better clinician today than I was the day before, but to be a better human being than I was. And that circles back to what I said a few moments ago. Your best, nobody can ask you for more than your best. Your best, we all have capacity. See this glass? What happens if I just hold this under a faucet and let water just run in it? What's going to happen to it? It overflows, right? Because just like this glass has a capacity, we as human beings have a capacity. And how you expand your capacity for more and different and better as human beings is you have to be open and receptive to growth. You have to be open and receptive to development. Where your athletic play is concerned, practice. Practice more. You want to go to some camps? I'll pay for you to go to some athletic camps next summer. You tell me where they are. And I'll pay for you to go to some athletic camps to develop your soccer ability and your basketball ability. Will and Shannon, I'm going to send my babies to sports camp next summer. Okay? So that's done. We got that out the way. You're going to sports camp next summer because it's practice. It's training. It's connecting with people who have a higher level of skill set than you do so that you can do better, but not at the cost of your self-esteem, not at the cost of your self-worth. Am I making sense at all? Okay. Nia, you don't get to go to summer camp, but you're going to college, so you get stuff for your dorm room. Just saying. We'll have that conversation later. They already know. So Jordan, you actually it's a segue because you answered the last question that I wanted to ask you before I give space to Nia. You said, do personal accolades contribute to your happiness? So say, for example, you all perform extremely well and nobody acknowledges that you performed extremely well. You don't still feel good about that anyway?
I do, but I think I would feel better if someone else recognized it. Like I myself, if I know that I did a good job and I'm like, oh, I did so good, so much better than last time. But if someone else points it out to me too, and I'm like, okay, it's not just me. Like I did do better than I did last time. Someone else is acknowledging it. It's like a real accomplishment.
Okay. So balance. The thing here is balance, because you don't want to be in a position, and this is Dr. Pitts talking. You don't want to be in a position where you need that validation, because then we're getting over into some discussion that we'll all have it around the living room for real, around having a secure attachment style versus an insecure attachment style. You don't need validation from other people to feel good about yourself. You can feel good about yourself because you're an amazing human being. And yes, compliments and all of that stuff is good. And it's nice to have it, but we're not going to be validated by it because we don't want to be dependent upon other people to make us feel good about ourselves. Make sense, ladies? All right. I want to give space because we only have about 3-4 minutes left before we wrap up for today. I want to give space for Miss Nia, my baby girl. Where are you thinking about going to college? I know what I heard, but I want you to make a public service announcement.
So North Carolina A&T, Hampton, and University of Maryland. Those are like my top.
Your top 3?
Yeah.
So you got Hampton is your mother's god sister Kimberly's alma mater. So Auntie Kim Lucas is Hampton alum. You have University of Maryland College Park is cousin Shelley's alma mater. And you have North Carolina A&T is one of my best friend Valerie's alma mater. So we have connections to all of those institutions of higher learning. And you have already announced that you want to play intramural sports, which is a really, really, really good thing. So we are going to publicly wish you well and believe that you will get in where you're supposed to get in, and that your financial aid award package and all of those extraordinary things will be orchestrated. We know you got the grades, no doubt there. Know you got the grades to go where you want to go. And we're going to believe God to do the rest. And you're going to end up, whether it's, Maryland is the Terrapins, right? University of Maryland Terrapins, Hampton. I don't know what Hampton and A&T's mascots are. I would have to look it up. Ronnie would know off the top of his head. I don't know, but whatever. A&T is the Marching 101. They're following suit after FAMU and the Marching 100s that are banned as all that, so rebate back tips. But they have a great curricula too. Ladies, share a quick final thought that you would like female scholar athletes to know. Give them drop a pearl for them.
I feel like stick with if you enjoy something, stay with it, because that's like the main motivator. Like if you're stuck doing something you don't like, you're just dragging on to try and do it for whatever reason. But when you enjoy it, it makes it like a lot more fun and just better overall. And just work hard at it and you can be good.
Awesome. Thank you, Nia. Naya?
Kind of feeding on what Nia said, if you don't really like the sport, don't be scared to drop it because you're scared of like the team. Don't, because if you force yourself to do that sport because you're scared, whatever, then probably be terrible and you're not gonna like it. And that might honestly drag you away from sports.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. Jordy?
As long as you practice, you can get better at something. Like at first in soccer, I didn't want to practice. I didn't even like doing it because I wasn't automatically good at it. But noticing how I am now versus how I was over the summer, I'm definitely better. So as long as you practice, stick with it, and like Nia said, you really like it, better. So just keep going.
Okay. I love y'all. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Jordan and I need you to start researching athletic summer camps so that we can decide where you're going. I know your parents are listening. I done said what I said now. Find a summer camp so that you can have a family discussion about that and just let me know where I need to send money to so that we can get, I'm dead serious. Y'all know I'm dead serious, right? Yeah, I'm like, I've been cutting on your whole life. You know I'm dead serious. But yeah, you need to do that because the applications like February, March, they're going to start accepting applications for the summer. So we need to find out sooner rather than later where you want to go. And then Nia Yvonne, once we figure out where you're going, you already know. We got you. I love you, ladies. Thank you so very much. I'm very, very, very proud of you. You know you are my heart. Cutting on, got you. Anything I can do to help you to be successful, you know that I got you, I got you, I got you. I love you. Thank you for
Love
coming
you
on
too.
the show today.
Thank you.
Jordan, I'll talk to you on Monday. Everybody, that's HT pregame for today. We will see you right back here next Saturday. Have an amazing rest of your weekend. Hope everybody had an extraordinary, extraordinary Thanksgiving. Don't shop too much. Don't spend all that money. Small business. You got to spend that money. Today's Small Business Saturday. Got to get your money to the small businesses. They make up like 49% of our employment population here in the country. Have a good weekend, everybody. Until next weekend. Bye-bye.